Hi there, welcome to this week market outlook, right? So I hope you have been enjoying this trading those new version of how we are rolling out, which is more of like on a week to week basis. And if you do, okay, again, we really appreciate your support by just liking on this video, share it out with your communities of traders and investors, and hopefully with this what we're doing here, we'll be able to reach out and help more traders and investors as well. Okay, so as usual, today I'll walk you through some of the things that it's important to take note of. I think first off, we'll cover what some of the highlights that happened the previous week, and then we'll look into what are some of the opportunities and things you want to take note of in this coming week itself. Okay, so without further ado, I'll jump straight into my screen, show you what I'm seeing, and then walk you through what we want to cover in this particular video over here. Right, so first up, let's cover some of the interesting events and I would say news that happened for the past week. So first up over here, I think the entire focus, a lot of us are still looking at China, what President Xi Jinping is still probably going to do with the capital markets, the financial markets, right? And that's interesting because China decided to create a new stock exchange for small and medium enterprise, SME, and it's going to be in Beijing. Okay, so if you're not aware, currently in China we already have two stock exchange, right? But they are looking to set up a new one specifically on SME. Okay, so again, if you'd like to read on to all this article, I'm actually referencing it to Financial Times, right? So you can actually go in and read the details. But over here, I just would like to kind of like summarize it for you and share with you some of my personal opinion. So to me, I'm still holding my firm view that China market is still not a very safe environment for us as retail traders to still invest into it. Last week we did cover, if you're looking at some of the Asia market exposure, okay, Hong Kong and Japan would be much better. Okay, and in fact, we are from our community, we are in both Hong Kong and China market. We entered at it last week, right? And Japan actually saw a strong push to the upside, up to 5%. So that's where I think number one, if you're looking at Asia exposure, focus back into Hong Kong and Japan instead of like China. Okay, because to me, I still feel that it's still relatively safer to stay away from China at this very moment. Okay, unless you are maybe close friends with President Xi Jinping. Okay, and maybe you have some information that I don't know. Okay, but again, this is my personal view. Okay, I think right now we do have like two camps. Some investors would say price has been down, the opportunity is there. But for me, okay, I still stand on the other side where I say that the risk is still at this current moment not worth taking. Okay, the other interesting thing that happened last week is Binance crypto market again. We did mention right last week that the crypto market is definitely getting a lot of attention, and that also includes like regulations and volatility will start to pick in. Okay, so first we have like Malaysia banning Binance, and then right now we have Singapore placing Binance on investor alert list. And I'm sure majority of you guys are actually from Malaysia and Singapore who is watching this and reading the newsletter that we sent out on the trading dose. So this might be kind of like a concern to maybe some of you. Okay, some of you, I think you know some way around it, like using VPN and things like that. Now my view here is, hey, some of you are actually sending in questions and asking, is it still safe to use Binance as your crypto exchange and things like that. Now first off, I can't give you a direct answer, right? Because I'm not going to be very responsible of anything that's going to happen on Binance, and you lose your capital because of Binance as an exchange. I wouldn't want to take out that responsibility by giving you a direct answer. Okay, but at the end of the day, I think whether is it going to be safe or not, or whether you're going to be comfortable to still use Binance, it all boils down to you as an individual. Okay, whether you are willing to accept that risk that perhaps you might not be able to access Binance if you're in Singapore or Malaysia. Okay, but I can't give you an answer. Okay, so this part here, I think you definitely need to dig deeper. Okay, go and understand, what are some of the concerns, what are some of the risks involved. Is it still worth to be looking at Binance as your exchange, right? Or you might want to then rotate out, okay, and find another platform for your crypto portfolio. Okay, but I would say moving forward, definitely the regulations are going to be stricter. Okay, even in the Philippines, right? It's not we don't have the article here, but even in Philippines, there is this crypto game called Axie Infinity that is very, very popular. Okay, the government starts to announce and say that whatever money you made on that game now becomes taxable income, right? So it's gonna be ongoing for some time, right? In terms of like government, which is a centralized body, would like to control to a certain extent a decentralized market, which is crypto. What an irony, okay? But that is gonna be for some time, okay? So if you're in this environment, in this market, just take note of all these things that's happening. Okay, the other one that is interesting, of course, from last week is non-farm payroll, NFP, and a lot of traders are basically looking at it. Okay, because that data will give some clue and hint to the Fed as to whether they're going to start tapering, or I would say whether they're going to start announce tapering in September. Okay, but the data came in on Friday, not very, very nice. NFP was 200 plus, which missed the expectation, but unemployment rate and average hourly earnings were great. Okay, so that is to me a little bit of a mix. Okay, and the dollar did see a little dip as of Friday closing. The equities market is kind of like flat, I would say. Nasdaq were a little bit up, but S&P were a little bit to the downside. Okay, so it's a little bit on the neutral territory right now. Okay, but I think moving forward, your attention is definitely still on what the Fed is gonna do. Mainly two parts over here is when are they gonna announce the tapering process, and the second part is how fast they're gonna be tapering, because that would definitely impact the financial market itself. Okay, so you want to pay very close attention to all these events that's gonna start kicking in, especially in September, because we do have the FOMC meeting later part of this month here as well. Okay, so that's that three, I would say, most interesting events to me that happened last week. Okay, so now let's take a look at some of the opportunities moving forward for the week ahead. Okay, so let's take a look at the dollar index over here. You can see, we did cover last week video as well, where we mentioned that there might be a very good chance momentum will continue to drop on the dollar. Okay, so right now we have seen the dollar drop, and we are at this zone, which is to me very, very crucial, because number one, you can see we are testing the bottom of this trend line over here for the third time. Okay, and this entire structure pattern here can suggest a potential bounce. Okay, so do take note of that. I mean, going into next week, right now, based on the technical point of view, I'm holding more of the neutral bias on the dollar index. Okay, so I would like to then see, maybe on Monday, Tuesday, or even first half of the week, how the market is going to develop for DXY. Okay, if I put in a horizontal line, we can see that market is also getting very close to the previous low, which can be seen as also maybe a support or a demand zone for those of you who are trading based on these principles. Okay, so for me, it's still a neutral going into next week. We'll see how market develop for dollar index. Okay, especially for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. If let's say this were to come down with a very slow momentum, then for me, I would be looking more of the upside. Okay, similarly, if let's say this forms a strong rejection and a rebound, then I'll be more interested, to look for the trade onto the upside as well. Okay, unless the dollar index is able to break through very strongly below the 91.80 and starts to form some kind of like consolidation pattern, then only I'll rotate into the bearish bias, right? So we are standing on a neutral, and we're gonna see how the market develops, and from there we'll have a much better understanding, like, do we want to look for buy or sell? Okay, gold, which is pretty interesting as well, because we did talk about how you can potentially see it reach towards 1832. NFP did send the gold a little bit higher as well, but as of now, again, we're back to neutral bias because we are again testing, 3 times at the top at 1832. Okay, so this can of course show some kind of rejection, and we can see gold comes back towards maybe 1770 area, right? 1770 zone. That means you get a correction, a dip back down. But at the same time, we can of course see gold breaks through 1832, and that opens up more upside for gold. Okay, so again, neutral bias going into Monday and Tuesday. We're gonna see how price reacts off gold. Okay, same thing over here. If you're gonna see a rejection down and a consolidation, we're gonna see we're gonna hold a bearish bias for next week then. Okay, where it can come back down to maybe around 1770. If let's say Monday and Tuesday we see gold breaks above 1832 and it starts to do a consolidation above that, then we'll rotate into a bullish bias and we'll look for more upside for gold. Okay, so that's on that view. S&P 500, I would suggest to be cautious. Okay, we are seeing that there's a lack of momentum to the upside. We might continue to see the entire of next week perhaps doing just some kind of consolidation or sideways move, right? And I recall last week we did cover Hong Kong and Japan, right? Just wanted to quickly cover that here as well for this week. Okay, so you can see, while the US market is not really moving, okay, Nikkei over here, Japan market is shooting up, right? If you're looking at Malaysia, it's also shooting up last week. But for me, again, I'm not touching the Malaysia market. To me, it's a little bit slow and not my cup of tea. Okay, so that's why I was mentioning Hong Kong and Japan, right? So again, let me know if you manage to capitalize on this as well. Drop it in the comments in this video below, right? Share with me if you manage to catch Nikkei here as well, right? Very, very decent move, and it's very obvious, right? Where set up like that, you definitely want to jump in and take that. Understanding, of course, there's still a risk involved, but the upside is huge, right? So still pay attention to Japan, and I think it's just the start of this move. Okay, there is definitely a lot of upside opportunity in Nikkei market over here. So again, on the equity side of things, I think perhaps the US side will be a little bit quiet going into the new week, but Japan or even Hong Kong, right, might give you some decent opportunity if you're focusing on the equity side of things. Okay, and lastly, right, Bitcoin. Again, I'm holding on to a neutral bias. A lot of all this market right now, it's at key zone where, again, we are holding on neutral because we want to see how the week start off on Monday and Tuesday. That will give us a little bit better information to assess whether are we looking at buy or sell. Okay, so for now on Bitcoin, you can see we're testing that 50550 level. I think we mentioned about that key zone last week as well. Okay, and potentially this can form into a double top formation for this to come back towards 43800. Very, very possible. Okay, then that's what you're gonna see is more of like this is a crawl pattern, right? Okay, but at the same time, if again this breaks through 50550 and it starts to form a consolidation at the top of it, we'll probably then rotate into a bullish bias. And we'll look for more upside for Bitcoin. Okay, of course, and Bitcoin here we're generally relating to the general crypto market. Okay, I know some of you are trading more specific crypto like VET, Ethereum, Ripple. You probably would have enjoyed some very, very decent profit if you're looking at VET and Ripple as of last week. Okay, so yeah, so I hope that gives you some ideas, right? Some insights into how you want to prepare yourself for the week ahead. Okay, so with that, again, I really hope you enjoy, the new version of the trading dose where we kind of do it on a week-to-week basis. And of course, if you enjoy this, we really again appreciate if you can give this video a thumbs up. It will really help the YouTube algorithm to reach out to more traders. And from there, we're able to then, share what we know and benefit more traders along the way. Okay, and of course, feel free to share this video with your network and community of traders as well. Okay, so with that, all the best to the new week, and we'll see how the market develops, and I'll talk to you very soon again.